As I crossed the threshold into the sleepy town of Fairwood, a chill swept through me, not from the crisp autumn air, but from the palpable sense of the unknown that seemed to linger like fog over the streets. The town was a tapestry of modern life, draped over a framework of old-world charm. But beneath that facade, I could sense something eerie, something that whispered of ancient secrets and hidden whispers. The local innkeeper, a woman with eyes as deep as the mysteries I was here to uncover, handed me the key to my room, and with a cautious tone, she advised, "Keep to the main roads at night. Fairwood's past isn't as dormant as it seems." Her words hung heavy, a foreboding prelude to the tales that awaited me. That evening, I ventured to the heart of the town, where the lights dimmed and the shadows spoke. The townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about figures seen in the periphery, vanishing when confronted. A man with a weathered face, as if carved by the very winds of the town's tales, leaned in and shared. "The phantoms aren't just stories, stranger. They're as real as you and me, especially at the stroke of midnight." As I retreated to the inn, the air grew colder, and a silent figure seemed to flicker in the distance. I blinked, and it was gone. But the sensation of being watched, of being followed, crept up my spine and nestled in the corners of my thoughts. Was it merely the echo of the town's eerie tales, or was Fairwood's ghostly reputation more than just talk? This was the beginning of my journey, face to face with the phantoms of Fairwood. And little did I know, it was also the start of a haunting that would cling to me long after the town faded into the mist of my rearview mirror. The next morning, I found the sun shyly peering through the overcast sky, a meek attempt to warm the town. As I wandered the cobbled streets of Fairwood, the quaint shops and cafes began to stir to life. I made my way to the local diner, a hub buzzing with the town's daily murmurs. The aroma of coffee and the sound of casual chatter greeted me as I pushed open the door. At the counter, I met Nora, a middle-aged waitress with a knowing smile that seemed to carry stories of its own. Over a steaming mug of coffee, she began to unravel the tapestry of Fairwood's mysteries. "Just last week," she whispered, leaning in, "Old Pete swore he saw a lady in white by the willows in Fairwood Park, vanished before he could tip his hat." Her tales were a mosaic of the peculiar. Each patron seemed to add another piece. There was talk of shadows that moved against the wind, of laughter where there should be silence, of faces appearing in windows of long-abandoned houses. The stories were always met with a mix of skepticism and fear, but the fear felt more sincere. With evening approaching and the sky painting streaks of orange and purple, I decided to stroll through the infamous Fairwood Park. The air was cooler now, and the setting sun cast long shadows that stretched across the grass like fingers. As I walked, the wind carried whispers, and the rustling leaves seemed to speak in hushed tones. Then, amidst the twilight dance of light and shadow, I saw it, a silhouette, tall and still, standing at the edge of the woods. I stopped, my heart drumming a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The figure was cloaked in the park's growing darkness, a shadow amongst shadows. I blinked, and for a fleeting moment it seemed to flicker, then solidify. Compelled by a mixture of dread and curiosity, I stepped forward, my feet moving as if pulled by unseen strings. As I drew nearer, the figure's details became clearer. It was a woman, ethereal and out of place, her eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that held me captive. Then, as suddenly as she appeared, she turned and dissolved into the fog that was now creeping like a living thing through the park. I rushed to the spot where she had stood, but found nothing. No footprints, no sign of her presence, just the cold mist swirling around me, as if laughing at my bewilderment. As I made my way back to the inn, the weight of the town's eerie encounters pressed upon me. I could not tell if the phantoms of Fairwood were a trick of the light or specters of a haunted past, but one thing was clear. I was now part of the story, a character in Fairwood's unfolding drama. And the night was far from over. In the hushed hours of dawn, as Fairwood began to stir from its uneasy sleep, I sat at the window of my room, gazing out at the awakening streets with a contemplative eye. The encounters of the night lingered in my mind, like the remnants of a disturbing dream, refusing to be dismissed by the light of day. I had come to Fairwood armed with skepticism, a firm believer in the tangible world, but the town had a way of peeling back the layers of what I thought was reality, revealing a space where logic faltered and reason held no sway. The phantoms, whether born of history's tragedies or the manifestation of collective fears, had reached out from the shadows and touched me, changing everything I believed about the world. The experience was like a mirror, reflecting not just the town's haunted visage, but my own inner turmoil. The fear I felt was not just of the spectral figures, but of the possibility that the world was much larger, much stranger than I had ever imagined. I had glimpsed behind the curtain, and what I saw was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. As I packed my bags, preparing to leave the enigmatic embrace of Fairwood, I realized that the town itself was like a ghost story. It existed in a state of perpetual suspense, a narrative with more questions than answers. Perhaps that was the point. Not every mystery is meant to be solved. Some, like the phantoms of Fairwood, are meant to linger, to haunt the edges of our perception. I leave Fairwood with more than just memories. I leave with a new sense of the world's hidden depths. To those who walk the same streets and feel the chill of the unseen, I offer no conclusions. Was what I experienced the whisper of the otherworldly, or just echoes of the mind? The truth remains shrouded in the mist, as elusive and enigmatic as the phantoms themselves. And so, to you, the reader, I pose the question that now haunts my every thought. What are the phantoms of Fairwood? Are they mere stories to be told in the flickering candlelight? Or are they as real as the heart that beats in your chest, waiting in the silent places of the world to be acknowledged, to be felt, to be feared? The answer is yours to ponder in the quiet moments, in the spaces between reality and imagination.